Welcome to Anchored at Harbor Park CrossFit, a show dedicated to helping you find enrichment for the other 23 hours of your day outside of the gym. Here's your hosts, Jason, Dave, and Corian.
Hola.
¿Cómo está?
Episode 12 coming at you. Today we're talking about supplements.
Are we going to do an icebreaker today?
I did not look one up.
Dave?
Uh-oh. Okay, I got one.
Quick.
Go ahead.
What are one of the supplements you do every day?
Uh-oh. Nothing. I'm terrible at remembering to take things. I'm supposed to be taking apple cider vinegar every day. A teaspoon.
And what does that do?
It's a probiotic.
Okay.
It's like a more natural probiotic.
Corian, what do you do?
One of the ones that I try to make sure that I do after getting my blood work done, it was even more apparent that I need it, is magnesium. I've been a terrible sleeper like my whole adult life that I can remember, and I don't know if it's just getting out of whack from being on third shift for so long, but even supplementing with magnesium after getting my blood work done, it's still super low. Yeah, I was amazed.
Daily for me, I do a multivitamin, my fish oil, my magnesium, D3. We talk about melatonin. I've done that for night.
You said name one that you do every day, so I just named one. I didn't name the 12 things I take today.
Creatine.
Did you do your hair today, Dave?
I did.
That's very nice.
I did not.
If you guys are watching us, we're talking into boxes right now.
Yeah, we listened to a couple of feedback from our members talking about echo in the mics. So we're just going to try something out. We kind of fixed it last episode, but we're going to try to do a little sound studio, I guess, DIY style.
We'll see what happens.
We just picked a color for you, Jay. We didn't know what color would work for you.
Okay. I like silver.
I thought you'd like silver.
I prefer gold, but
Dave wanted to go with pink for you. But no, I'm just kidding.
So episode 12. Jason, what are we talking about today?
supplements, all different kinds of them.
Yay!
All right. Who wants to start?
Well, I'm going to start with first. Supplements are just that. They're supposed to be supplementing your nutrition. So always remember, guys, that no matter what you're doing, you cannot beat out a bad diet. So you should first look to be getting natural sources of everything that we're talking about today. And then after changing up your diet, eating healthy, getting those as best you can, if things are still low, like my magnesium, then we look at supplements. Then we look at adding to our nutrition. I cannot sit there and eat McDonald's every day and take supplements and a multivitamin and think that I'm going to be healthy and fine. So.
But you're taking vitamins.
I know. And they inject vitamins into food.
That's a joke.
I know. Whole new tangent.
And one thing I see a lot with that is people abusing. Mm-hmm. We'll get into protein shakes later, but kind of relying on that for their meals throughout the day.
Yeah, that, and if we're not careful, a lot of vitamins and minerals counteract each other. So if we're not careful on when we're taking them and how we're taking them, you might not even be absorbing what you think you are. So you have to be careful with that as well. So I think the first one we have is going to talk about fish oils. I think that it's the biggest and most common one that people should be supplementing with.
Yeah. So why?
Because we don't eat enough fish.
Okay, but why is fish oil important?
Fish oil is important for a lot of things. Fish oil is going to help you with your cardiovascular, so your heart. It helps with your heart function. It's going to help with brain function, immunity.
Inflammation.
What is it?
Inflammation.
Inflammation, yeah. So there's omega-3 and omega-6. Both are needed. Both are important. You would not think that omega-6, which causes inflammation, is needed, but it does. Inflammation is good when we have an injury. It brings fresh blood flow to the injury, and it makes it so that we heal. Omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory, and it makes things not, so that when we have a cut, omega-6 helps the blood to clot at the cut, but in our arteries, we want the omega-3 that's going to keep that blood flowing.
Right, and a lot of non-grass-fed animals, such as chicken that we eat a lot, eggs, and beef, don't eat grass, so they don't graze like they should. They're eating
Grains.
high grains and all that, which then makes their meat and everything that we eat saturated with omega-6.
Yes.
Which is why we have to supplement.
Yes.
Yeah, when you like look at the science, the typical American diet is so loaded with omega-6s that it's so out of whack. Like the omega-3 to omega-6, which should be like almost a 1-to-1 ratio. I think it's like 1-to-20. So that's why Americans are so have so much inflammation in like their joints and their heart, their lungs, and everything.
We puffy.
Yeah. So that's why the omega-3s are super important to try to bring that back.
Yeah, so we're supposed to be having a balance of these two things in our diet. And I just, naturally, I don't think that people eat enough fish. But if you are somebody who eats a lot of fish, then you might not have to supplement with fish oil. I personally don't. Fishes that you want to be are like salmon and tuna, stuff like that.
Yeah, but there's a difference between wild caught and then farm raised. Farm raised, again, they're going to be eating pellet food, which again is going to make that not so nutrient dense in that omega-3.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to be careful in what you pick for the fish too.
Yes.
That's why they usually say wild caught is better. Obviously that goes contradictory to a lot of people saying you got to have a sustainable ocean. Unfortunately, that's the drawback as well.
Yeah, I eat wild-caught salmon twice a week. It is expensive. It's a lot more expensive than the farm-raised, but I value my health, so it's worth it.
We value your health, Jason.
I think, too, the issue is just, I mean, salmon is a little bit more abundant here, but depending on where you live, you might not have access to, wild-caught fish and just different things like that. Like, obviously, like, I love seafood and sushi, and I enjoy it, but we don't always have, like, the best sushi around here. So that's why fish oil as a supplement is also good, is because you might not have access to it. I'm the only one here who loves seafood and just despises salmon. So I definitely don't get enough fish oil in my, like, natural diet. So
what would you say if somebody's coming to us and says, well, I don't want to take fish oil because I don't like the taste of them. I know there's some out there that have like an orange flavor to it to try to mask it. Or they say, oh, I get the fishy burp.
Yeah,
I'd say suck it up.
You should be getting a high quality fish oil that if it smells fishy or gives you fishy burps, then it means that it's not sourced from a quality source. I know we've talked about this before. So just make sure that you're finding a quality source of fish oil, and it shouldn't upset your stomach, shouldn't be burpy, fishy burp.
Yeah, the ones that I take, I don't taste it at all.
Fish oil is the only supplement that CrossFit Inc. promotes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't say don't take any other ones, but this is the only one they say pretty much everyone should be taking.
And it'll change, a lot about your body and your health. I know I've mentioned it before too, but liver cod oil, I just got to figure out where to get it. I haven't looked yet.
That also goes into probiotics too.
Yeah.
And it's been in my Amazon cart for like a month now. I just never pulled the trigger because there's like 15 different ones, and I haven't done the research to see which company's good. Probably going to go with an Icelandic. I think like all the Icelandic children grow up, like every day they have one.
Yep.
Like a teaspoon of it.
Yeah, so like...
Not to mention that they're like crazy good athletes.
So whereas we have like milk every day, they do liver cod oil. And Icelandic men have the longest lifespan out of all, like every country, and the women are top 5. So, and then like Dave said, crazy good athletes, like they're super strong, like, so clearly something they're doing, and it's just part of their regimen. Like that's what they do every day. They're very healthy. They have a lot less of the health issues that other countries have. Fish oil is really good for your immune health, but also for like cell regrowth and your eyes and everything like that.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next?
I'm talking about the magnesium that helps me sleep. But magnesium does a lot of other things too. So magnesium also is really good for how you can digest and absorb your carbohydrates. So it helps you digest carbs and fats so you can actually utilize them and turn them over. So in your cells, they kind of help with that process. So a lot of our nutrients, both vitamins and minerals, that's what they do is they kind of help each other be absorbed or digest and transformed into other things. So when we're not getting adequate amounts of them, then we're not able to use them the way that we need to. We'll get into it when we talk about vitamin D, but vitamin D is what helps us with calcium absorption and turning that into bone.
So why do they say magnesium helps you sleep?
Because it's a natural calming effect on your nervous system and your central nervous system. So it's like melatonin. It's like a natural calming aid.
Nice. And I forget, is that naturally made in the body?
Magnesium, yes.
Yeah, pretty much. I think all this stuff is, if it's not naturally made in the body, we probably shouldn't be taking it.
That and in greens. So you'll get magnesium in a lot of your greens. So magnesium also helps in healing. So it synthesizes, it turns over proteins. So it helps it turn into cells and different things. So again, going back to the gut, the inflammation and anti-inflammation from the omega-3s and omega-6s, the magnesium then is going to help rebuild the cells to close up that cut.
Or if you're tearing it up from an intense workout.
Absolutely.
Jason, do you take magnesium?
I used to take fish oils, magnesium, vitamin D, and then I ran out. Well, part of it was I used to cycle, so I'd get a package of each. Once they were done, I'd go a couple months without them, so my body didn't have to rely on them. And then this last time, I just haven't bought them again. So
supplements can get expensive. It does happen, but again, if we're getting them from natural sources, from our food first, and then supplementing from the other stuff, then we're okay. And I'm going to talk about some stuff later and about exactly what you just talked about. Like, we don't need to be on them all the time. It's just fixing our body. So kind of starting it. So vitamin D. Anybody else want to talk? I feel like I'm just rambling.
You're I would say you're kind of the expert on this.
So vitamin D comes from the sun, but one of the biggest things that I think that people don't realize is that you absorb most of it through your belly. So if we're walking around in the summertime and we're wearing a shirt, you're not getting as much benefits from the vitamin D that's natural from the sun. So there's actually vitamin D2 and D3.
Sorry, you're saying my big belly helps?
Yeah. All that skin.
I think she's saying that Coach Robert and Coach Dusty get a ton of vitamin D because they never wear a shirt.
That was actually, again, really interesting with the blood work that Dave and I have gotten recently to kind of check into what we're doing is our vitamin D levels are super, super high to the point where we were asked, do you guys just hang out outside all day? And I really, truly do. We're the only ones that always sit out on our patio in the summer, and it's the afternoon sun. So, but vitamin D2 comes from plants. Vitamin D3 is from animals. So that's what we produce from being in the sun. So again, really good if we're outside, but we all know in the Midwest, this last winter was super long, not a lot of sun, and so far spring hasn't been too much better. It's been cloudy and dark. So if you're inside, you're working most days, or if maybe you've got a shift schedule and you're sleeping during the day and then working, afternoons or evenings, you're definitely not getting enough vitamin D. So check into that. And one of the biggest things I would say is if you're curious, there's a lot of places you can get blood work done and just find out where your levels are so you can make sure that you're not over supplementing.
Yeah. How would you go about getting your blood work done for somebody who doesn't know?
There's a couple things. If you actually have insurance, you can just go to your doctor and you can ask for some blood work. If you're working with any sort of nutritionalist or a dietitian, usually they can order it for you. I don't have that certification yet, but I know people that you can talk to. You can get that stuff done through other companies. So it just depends on what you're willing to pay for. I think mine was upwards of almost $300 and I didn't even get everything. So
if you don't have money like me, then you just assume things are good.
So those are the three main actual vitamins I would think that most people need. Multivitamins are good, But we have to be careful. Again, they just kind of pack multivitamins with a bunch of nutrients, and it's like throwing like mud at a wall and hoping something sticks.
And usually when you take a multivitamin, like if you go pee after and it's like super bright yellow, that means like everything you just take is just got passed through and now you're just peeing it out. So
I have a big issue with taking multivitamins, but right now, again, based on my gut health and my blood work, like mine's a little bit low, so I'm taking one. But what I did is I have a higher quality one, and then I'm splitting up my dosage throughout the day. I take a little bit every time I eat. That way it's not really kind of fighting with anything, and then I'm not overloading my system. And so far I don't have that issue. I'm not peeing it all out. So
yeah, with vitamin D and multivitamins, I find that hurts your stomach a little bit. So usually recommend take it at least with food, or vitamin D is sometimes good at night to take before bed. That way it doesn't bother your stomach. Big tall glass of water.
So talking about like those interactions, like we have to be careful when we're eating things or we're taking supplements. Like I said, they kind of fight with each other. So like zinc and calcium will block each other's absorption. So if you have like a low, iron and calcium. If you have low iron, which a lot of people do, I've always been on like the lower end of it, and iron is definitely needed. So if you're taking it, and most people guess what we do in Wisconsin, it's milk, it's dairy, it's everything else. So people take their vitamins. How do they normally tell you to take vitamins? Take it with a glass of milk because it helps soothe your stomach and it doesn't get that stomach effect. But if I already have low iron and then I'm taking it with milk, which has calcium, I'm just kind of blocking the effects of each other. So it takes a lot of research to kind of figure that out. That's why we don't want to over supplement. So
interesting.
Yeah.
what is next? Calcium?
No, that was just like a...
Looks like we got gut health on the next thing.
So this has kind of been like a big thing that I've gotten into in the last couple of weeks, and it's thanks to one of my clients. I will keep her nameless, but she does pretty well with her diet. She is working really hard on eating healthy and cutting out the extra stuff, but she still has a lot of medical issues. She has some things with her eyesight, and she has some gut issues where her stomach gets really upset, bloated, cramping, and all of those things. Our gut health is becoming something that we're not focused on, but is a large root of a lot of our problems. And what happens is when we start having heartburn or acid reflux, what do we take? We take Pepto, Tums, something that's going to fix the symptom that we're having, but it didn't fix the fact that I had heartburn in the first place. Okay. So, she's really kind of prompted me to look into gut health. And if we look into gut health, it's all about keeping that stomach, the whole entire GI tract healthy, so that we can absorb all these nutrients. Because I could be getting them all day long, but if my stomach's rejecting them and like the multivitamins, we're just passing it, then I'm still going to be malnourished because I'm just running on E. So a couple things that people can do to fix the gut health. Again, starting with basics, not going to get tested. Probiotics are good for your lower GI tract. It helps with the good healthy bacteria that's in your intestines, and that's going to help with your absorption. And again, especially the fat that takes longer to digest, that goes further in your system, it's going to help keep that healthy so that you can absorb all of that stuff. The other things that you can look at is your actual stomach acid itself is beneficial with digestive enzymes. So enzymes going to break things down so that we can absorb them later. But if we have really low bacteria or enzymes in our gut, where things aren't being broken down, then they're just going to pass through.
So something super interesting. For like thousands of years, humanity thought like the heart was in control of like your feelings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until like the last 100 or 200 years that they realized it was the brain. Mm-hmm. Experts on gut health they believe the next 10 years, they're actually going to say that it's actually the gut that's responsible for everything and not the brain. Because if you think about it, like if you get excited or nervous, where do you feel it? You don't feel it in your brain, you feel it like in your belly. Mm-hmm. So this is a super new science, but like it's actually they're thinking it's going to be like historic, the significance of your gut and keeping it healthy, like going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple people know that I obviously do nutrition coaching, but I always feel that you should be working with someone who's smarter than yourself. So I am working with my own health coach and nutritionalist, Devin Ford, and he's the one that prompted me to do the blood work. And a lot of issues, I'm free to talk about them. They don't bother me. I had my gallbladder out a couple years ago. I had a lot of heartburn issues, all of that stuff. I was taking prescription meds to fix it. But again, all I did was treat the symptoms. I never looked at the underlying cause of why those all occurred. And because of taking those meds to reduce my stomach acid, I now don't have enough stomach acid.
Not to butt in, but they say like taking like prescription meds is like nuking your gut health, just like obliterating it all.
Absolutely. And so like now I'm not absorbing my food. So that's why I just feel so run down and sluggish all the time, is because I'm not able to utilize what I'm eating, even though I'm eating really clean. So I've started on some digestive enzymes. I've started on some other things that are all natural. I'm trying to get my gut to be happy and healthy again. A lot of you guys know that I advocate for no dairy, no gluten, because it affects me a lot. But one of the coolest things I learned about your gut health is when you heal it, you can actually get that stuff back. So over the years, I've gotten worse and worse with dairy. And I've just thought, oh, the more I cut it out, the more it bothers me when I have it. What's could be going on is that my stomach is just getting sicker and sicker and it can't handle it. So I'm excited to see if I can fix my gut and I can have cheese back.
So what are you doing? Like, I know that you have obviously I know your regimen, but maybe somebody who's listening to this is like, geez, probiotics, all these enzymes. Like, what are you doing to fix your gut?
First of all, find someone smarter than you. Tool number one. Tip number one. I think that just having someone, I know this stuff, but having someone else look at it from an outside perspective is really good. And I work with a lot of other people to help my clients. I don't think that I know everything. I don't think that I can help every situation. So knowledge is power. The more people you talk to, the more things you read.
Yeah, we all need coaches. If you look at it, we all kind of know how to lift weights, but you hire a coach to make sure that you're doing it safely, and then coaches hire coaches to coach them. It's just the natural progression. You look at a basketball player, they have a coach. Football players, they have coaches, and they have coaches.
We have business coaches to make sure we're doing the right thing.
So I started there. Who is smarter than me that can help me fix this? And then, so the last couple of weeks I've been changing up my diet. I'm still eating really clean, still no dairy, no gluten, no added sugars. But one of the biggest things is I'm getting rid of inflammatory foods. So things that are going to add to that inflammation in my gut. And so that stuff I've cut out, like tomatoes, sometimes certain fruits and stuff are going to upset your stomach. And they also, the other thing that you have to be careful of, which again, this is all, like I'm nerding out on all this nutrition stuff, but anything that's going to feed the bad bacteria. So I have to stop feeding the bad bacteria and I have to feed the good bacteria. So I'm taking a probiotic and then I have digestive enzymes. I have I never say this right, L-carnitine. It's like it's a natural thing that you get and your body produces, but again, I'm lacking, so I'm just taking some of that to help with my gut. But all of this stuff I kind of like spread throughout the day. So like every time I eat, I'm taking a few things. Turmeric is very good for you. You can use it as a seasoning in like almost anything. Otherwise, right now I'm supplementing with like a actual pill of turmeric stuff. So
awesome.
Not to butt in again, but. So you talked about bad gut health or bad probiotics versus good ones. So also some studies are showing like, people are just like, oh, genetics, like I'll always be chubby. I can't burn weight. And then some people just can't gain weight. They just burn calories so fast. Some preliminary studies are showing that it's because of that ratio of good to bad. So maybe you're genetically predisposed to have more of the bad probiotics, But through doing things like taking those supplements, taking stuff like the cod liver oil, and like what I'm taking, the apple cider vinegar oil, or the apple cider vinegar, those will help boost the good. So yeah, you might be genetically predisposed one way or the other, but you can adjust it. So if you can't gain weight because you burn calories too fast, which is not a lot of people, but they are out there. You could try, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there, but you could try feeding the bad stuff and see if that helps.
Yeah. I think too, like I said, that was really interesting with the gut is I found out that, so celiac disease is people who have an issue with gluten, and everybody just assumes that it makes you sick when you eat gluten, right? That's what most people think of when they think celiac disease. Do you know that 50% of people don't have any gut reaction when they have celiac disease? None whatsoever, but it comes out in other things. So it can come out in as migraines or acne or other skin irritations or foggy brain, and you could still find out that you have celiac disease. And then again, they have been able to reverse that by changing your gut health, by changing the enzymes and the bacteria and everything that's in there. They're finding that there's a lot of diseases that we don't know that we're having, and we have like these parasites in our gut that's just destroying our ability to digest and absorb nutrients, and it's like that inflammation that we talked about earlier is affecting how our gut walls and how things move in and out of our intestines. And so by changing that all up, they're like correcting these issues. Again, we're finding the root cause and we're addressing that versus just the symptoms.
That's pretty scientific stuff.
I know.
Should we move on?
Yeah. I could talk about that because it's like my new thing right now.
All right. So pre-workouts is next. A lot of people ask about this a lot. And I'll just talk on it.
Especially new people to CrossFit.
Yeah. Because they're used to maybe lifting in a gym setting. So, they need that pre-workout, that amp, that pumped up feeling. I get that asked a lot. And then usually it's after a workout. And they're like, why is my heart racing so bad? Like, I feel like it's going to pound out of my chest. And I'm like, what'd you take? They tell me they took something called AMP or this pre-workout. And I'm like,
Project 3D.
Don't take pre-workouts before a CrossFit workout. Your heart rate's already getting jacked up.
In CrossFit, we want to maintain our heart rate as best as possible.
Yeah. And if anybody's had this feeling, when your heart rate's out of whack, you can't control anything. It's pretty much shuts you down. I have it a lot, but I have a heart murmur issue, so I'm dealing with that. So I can't even take pre-workouts. That would mess me up really bad, but people do it.
The only exception I'd say is if it's like a short, like less than 5 minutes, maybe then, but still you have to know your body.
Yeah, you really have to test it.
Or like a lift day.
You really have to test it. You wouldn't do that in Fran.
Yeah. No, I would in Fran just because you're going nonstop. If it's, 2-3 minutes, again, assuming you've tested it. Or like Corian just said, if you're doing a heavy lift, like a squat, a power lift move, probably wouldn't with like a snatch just because you need total control. So you don't want to get to the point where you're so erratic because your heart rate's so high. So
you guys are talking about heart rate. What is the basic thing that a pre-workout is? Like what's in pre-workout?
Well, it's caffeine and taurine.
Caffeine and taurine. So, Cup of Joe. That's a good pre-workout all on its own.
I have a couple cup of coffees in the morning.
Ideally, yes. But the way we abuse coffee, most of us don't get any stimulus from it. No.
I was reading up and learning about this. If you can maintain, I think it's like less than like 100 milligrams of caffeine a day, then when you do take it and drink more of it, you'll have the effect. That's like the perfect ratio, but that's like a small coffee a day.
Just going back to this pre-workout, don't take it before your CrossFit workout where it's going to be long endurance, where you need that control of your heart rate and your breathing. Save the pre-workouts if you must for a heavy lift day, back squatting, 1 rep max. That's what I would recommend. as far as a pre-workout.
I would also recommend that change your idea of what a pre-workout is. When we have, like, what I do Saturday, one of the extra workouts was 30 minutes. Minute 1, calories rowed. Minute 2, burpees. I subbed for double unders right now. But that's 30 minutes. Most people are going to sweat. As it becomes summer, we're going to sweat a lot. So pre-workouts should also contain healthy electrolytes. So Gatorade and Powerade had the right idea. They just filled it with sugar. We want things that are more beneficial, things like selenium and sodium and stuff like that, BCAAs. So things that are going to keep your energy systems running so that you can keep producing the power output that you need. Because if I don't have carbs and I don't have sodium in my system, I'm not going to be able to sweat. I'm not going to be able to cool down. I'm not going to have the energy systems to actually do the workout. So if we kind of change our perception of it.
Right. So we don't want a jack your heart rate up pre-workout. We want a pre-workout that will allow us to maintain longer into the workout.
All right. Our last topic for today is protein, whey versus casein.
And we've talked about this before, but it's probably the biggest thing when people think about supplements, like they think about their protein shake. And I'll just start with, I think this is probably the most abused supplement. Not saying that it's bad or wrong, but I think a lot of people kind of like it's such a staple in their diet that, going back to your point, Corey, and at the beginning of the show, it's a supplement. It's supposed to be, a little bit to boost your normal diet. That should be real food.
Yeah, you shouldn't be, if you're counting macros or whatever and keeping track of it, shouldn't get to the end of your day and, all your meals are protein shakes because you don't eat enough chicken and you don't eat enough grass-fed beef and you don't eat plant-based proteins. I see people who are having, 2-3 shakes a day, and then again, protein should be slower digesting, and in a shake, where it's already liquid form, so it's going to digest and break down faster, and then we're not going to get the added benefits. So,
and you're also not going to feel that full because you're just drinking it. So, like, sometimes I put casein in my oatmeal just because I don't want to have egg whites every morning, and then I'm just like an hour later and I'm hungry again just because I didn't have that food that breaks down in my stomach.
So, difference of whey versus casein protein.
So whey comes from the milk portion. Well, I think they're both from milk. But anywho, I think like when they let the milk settle, like the fat comes to the top and the protein goes to the bottom. I don't know. Anywho, whey is a fast absorbing, less efficient protein source. So fast absorbing, so it's really good right after a workout, like within 30 minutes, or even like as you start, if your stomach can handle that. So yeah, whey, it gets absorbed super quickly, but because it's so fast, you're not going to get the entire benefit, versus casein is absorbed a little bit slower, but it's more efficient, so your body will use more of it.
Yes, and I think that's another issue is like people, I love the UR that we have, but we have the casein that's at night, and then everybody drinks the whey protein, like you said, all day long, so we're not getting the added benefits. And I don't know, because I don't supplement a lot with shakes, where's a good daytime casein protein?
I use the whey, or the UR, not the whey, the UR casein in the morning sometimes, and it's fine. It doesn't put you to sleep. If you're going to sleep, it'll help you with that, but the taurine amount isn't that much that it'll like knock you out. Right. Or that's not the taurine, tryptophan.
Yeah, it's like eating a turkey. I mean, you can eat turkey. It's the same thing, got tryptophan in it. As long as you're eating, it's not going to, like you said, it'll put you to sleep, but not a big deal. So, all right, you guys got anything else for this list?
That's our list. We exhausted it.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you really think something's going on, try to see a nutritionalist, dietitian, or somebody that maybe you can get some blood work done and really pinpoint maybe where you're overabundant or lacking, and then you can go from there. But again, biggest thing that you should always change first is your diet to an like a real like food diet, and then find out if anything's missing and needs to be supplemented.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions about any of these products or what fish oils we recommend, feel free to ask us. I'll share my knowledge on it. I'm sure Jason will.
Any of the coaches have a good idea.
All right. Guys, we will see you next week for episode 13. We look forward to it. Stay classy, Harbor Park.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to Anchored at Harbor Park CrossFit. If you would like further information about our programs, visit www.harborparkcrossfit.com. We hope you'll tune in next time.